Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well, and today we're doing a Tattooed Chef Thursday video, and today we're going to talk about, is it time to sell Tattooed Chef stock? So this is a question I got asked quite a bit yesterday because, as I'm sure you're aware, the popular investor came out and put a video out on YouTube that basically said he's looking at selling some of his stake in Tattooed Chef and potentially all of his stake because he's seen some things that he is concerned about. Now, a lot of the things that he was concerned about were very strong accusations against Tattooed Chef. He went on to say that the CFO leaving was a kind of strange situation. Also, there was also comments about selling shares, gifting shares, tax avoidance and bribery that was all put towards Tattooed Chef. So today, Tattooed Chef is a big investment of mine, and I'm sure it's a big investment for a few of you guys that are watching this video. It's a popular one on YouTube, you know, it's one of the popular stocks that are featured on YouTube. It's a company that I've invested in. I've been investing in this company for a while, and I'll go through my thoughts on what was featured in that video and potentially the reasons why I think maybe it's a little bit of a time to just calm down a little bit and just go through the facts and my thoughts and everything like that. So if you could smash the like button, that'd be absolutely amazing. Now, a little bit of a positive, I was actually going to make potentially a Tattooed Chef video on today, talking about the Oppenheimer event that happened yesterday with Tattooed Chef. There was some really good information out there. Basically, the Tattooed Chef went on to say they now have the capacity to do 500 million in revenue, which would be absolutely amazing. And also by 2026, they're looking to actually have 1 billion in revenue, which would be absolutely amazing if they could achieve them numbers. And I was going to go through that event and actually say some of the positive things about that. But because of this video, I think everyone kind of focused on what happened with this video and a few of the things that happened, the claims that were made in the video. So I'm a big fan of Rob on The Popular Investor. I think he does do some really good in-depth videos, and also, you know, this sort of stuff is going through a lot of SEC filings, and credit to Rob, you know, he does put in a lot of research when he goes into the company. And when I went into this video, I tried to keep an open mind because it's very easy to be like very bullish on a company and then go, oh, if anyone says anything negative about it, I'm just going to ignore it. Like, it's very hard when you're super bullish on a company to kind of like accept someone saying something negative about your company, because after all, if you're bullish in the company for the long term, you basically have to like get yourself involved in the company. You need to be willing to go that, okay, there's going to be some tough times, there's going to be probably some tough press at some point that comes out of this company, and maybe even more than that, you know, short seller reports or anything like that. You know, you have to be really like 100% back in that company, and that when, you know, the negative stuff happens, you're willing to be still invested in the company and believe in the company. So it's very hard to switch off from that and listen to some negative stuff. But I did go into this with an open mind and tried to do my best as if like, okay, is this actually a concern that we should be, you know, worried about? Now, basically, the main reason why Rob went into this video is basically he went and said that the main reason he wanted to release some cash and maybe even all of his position is that he wants to protect his capital and his investment. And I don't blame him. You know, when you get to quite a serious amount of money, you have to be very careful that your money is going into the best place to make you money. And very much like, you know, the position I'm in and Rob's in, you know, there's basically, you should always do your own research, but there's always going to be people that kind of like follow you into certain stocks and everything like that, which is totally wrong, but it will happen. And Rob is very the same, and I think as well with Rob, he also runs his eToro copy trader as well, so a lot of people will copy his portfolio and make money off his portfolio as well. So even probably for him, it's even more important as well to make sure that he is making sure he has the minimal risk on the table. So that's what the kind of view that he came from, and I totally agree. Like, the big thing is, if you see something wrong with your company, you need to be making sure you're aware of that, and also that you need, if you're doing the proper research into the company, you should be spotting these sort of things, and hopefully you get into a position where you start spotting a lot of these red flags before everyone else like spots these red flags, and you can make sure that you protect your capital really. And I don't blame Rob if he thinks he sees this is a game of opinions and we're all in charge of our own money here, and if Rob thinks that this is a red flag, I do not blame him, because it's a game of opinions, and if he thinks it's a red flag, he can move away from it because it's his money at the end of the day. Same with me, if I think that if my opinion is that Rob is wrong on this situation, it's my capital, I can put my capital where I want, and if I think it's absolutely fine, I keep it in Tattooed Chef. You know, that's the big thing about it. But basically, one of the big things that Rob goes, the first thing he kind of went on to is the CFO, which basically a lot of this information comes around April time. So this isn't like new information that Rob was talking about. This is all the information that pretty much all happened in April. But he did talk about it previously. So basically he went on, the first thing was the CFO. So Chuck came as the CFO, and then he left in April. He wasn't the CFO for a long time. When he left the CFO role in April, he then went to start up his own company in May. So the changeover between April and May was very quick. As soon as he left, he moved in to start his new company. Now, personally for me, I think he just got to the point of view where he wanted to go and set up his own company. So because if you kind of leave in a role in April and then set up your own company in May, that's a very quick changeover. You can't think, oh, I just, I don't like what's going on here, I'm going to leave it, and then I'm going to set up my own company in, over, it was like a 15-day period. That's such a quick changeover. So I think that potentially Chuck wanting to start his own company was something that he would have considered here. And like I say, I think the CFO leaving, people leave roles all the time. I've got no problem with that. And also I think the CFO as well in particular, one of the reasons why Chuck was brought in is because he was very experienced management, and I think he was brought in on a short-term basis to manage the SPAC transaction, and I think that's why he was in. And because the SPAC had closed, I feel like that's why he actually left the company and then wanted to go start his own company, and that's why always his game plan was. So I think that was actually what was the tactical play here from both Tattoo Chef and Chuck personally. Now, one thing that I don't think Rob actually mentioned on the actual video is that I believe that the actual Tattoo Chef and the merger was completed on October the 15th, which, if I'm correct, I think the lockup period was the 15th of April. Now, why was the CFO leaving at this time, and why did Sam Galletti then release these shares, and why are all these SEC filings on the 15th of April? Now, I can't find the exact date in the actual SEC for this, but I believe that the lockup period is the 15th. So the reason why this might have been all happening at once is because of the lockup period. Like I say, I don't have the actual proof on the lockup period, but I believe it's 6 months after when the company goes through the SPAC transaction, which was that date. So I think that maybe that could be the reason for the catalyst of all this happening. So I think that was also something that was maybe not mentioned. And the next point is on to Sam Galletti, which there was a lot of accusations about this, tax avoidance, bribery, and generally this is the thing, I always like to go off facts, and what Rob had in there was basically a lot of the SEC filings, which is just fine, that you have to do all these SEC filings when you're doing all these transactions. That is legit. And I thought there was a lot of overthinking on a lot of these SEC filings, that it was a big jump from these SEC filings to go from that to like bribery and tax avoidance. I thought that was a big, massive jump here. And Sam Galletti, let's talk about Sam Galletti. Sam Galletti obviously has been in this industry for many years. He's been in this industry longer than I've been alive. And Sam Galletti is a good manager of companies. He's done it previously with other companies, and also you only have to look at what he's done now from a private label company to create the Tattoo Chef brand to where they are right now. Sam Galletti for me is, when I look at my management can make or break an investment. I look at Sam Galletti as my investment, and I think about him running my company. I am so happy for him to run my company. He's probably, the management team at Tattoo Chef is by far probably the top 5 management teams, if I was to pick, that I own. I trust them completely, and that's the thing, is when you do research into a management team, you should go, do I trust this management team to run my capital? And I trust him. He's never had any bad reputation. He's run companies very well beforehand. Right now, at this point, why would Sam Galletti go to a point of view to kind of go, you know what, I'm actually going to just break the rules a little bit and maybe just avoid a little bit of tax here? I just can't see it. If it was maybe someone that was maybe a bit younger, that was the first time in this position, maybe if it was a foreign company, I'd be more acceptable to it. Chinese companies, that's one of the big things that people kind of go on. If it was maybe a CEO that has history of maybe some things that kind of were a little bit fishy beforehand, the big one that I always kind of use on this channel is Steve Burns. Maybe if it was something like that, but Sam Galletti, I just can't see it. This guy has a history of running fantastic companies. He's done it for a long time. I don't see what he would have to gain from now. And also this company, Tattoo Chef is now a $1 billion company. I don't think, why would he want to kind of avoid a few things now? Why would he go to bribery, tax avoidance? I just have a lot of confidence in him, and I just can't see this doing it. And while he kind of has no track record of this, I don't know why he would start doing it. And the big thing as well is, like, Sam Galletti, he currently owns 39% of the company. that's a lot of the company. You know, the amount of companies I look into and the CEO and the founders kind of have like, 1% of the company. He owns massive amounts of this company. 39%, there's if he gets rid of a little bit of the company, that's totally fine. He's allowed to do that. And basically, a lot of what Rob goes on to is he was a bit worried about the selling and gifting of shares. Last time I checked, you're allowed to sell shares. It's not illegal. If you own 39% of the company and you've just took it public and you're now $1 billion company, there is nothing wrong with selling 39% of your position, or well, not all of it, don't sell all of it, but a little bit of it. There's nothing wrong with that. You see it multiple times, especially if they have massive gains on a position. Selling shares is totally fine. And as well as that, selling shares to someone inside the company is very common. It happens all the time. If you're inside a company, the chances you get offered to go buy some shares in your company at a discounted price is so common. I know someone that actually works for a major gaming company, and basically he said that I won't say which gaming company it is. It is one of the big ones, though. You will, if I said the company, you would know which one you would know them. And basically, he kind of every month, if the games are on schedule, they get a bonus, and they can take that bonus in cash, or they can take that bonus in shares, and they get them shares at half the price. And for ages, he was taking the cash, and I was like, are you actually kidding me? Take them shares. It's an amazing company. And a few years on now, he thanks me absolutely huge for it. And it happens all the time, selling shares, buying shares if you're in the company at a discount happens all the time. And gifting shares, you can gift shares all the time if you want to. It happens all the time. It might, the amount of shares that Sam Galletti, on what we'll get onto a little bit, might be very generous, but it's still 39% is a huge amount. So when it comes down to this, selling shares, gifting shares, it's not illegal. Last time I checked, you are allowed to do it. There's nothing wrong with that. So just because that's happening, does it suddenly cause a red flag and be like, oh, that's they're avoiding tax there, or they're bribing someone? It's allowed to happen. It's allowed to happen, and I have no problem with that. It happens all the time in many other public companies. Now the big one goes on to Ellis Watson. Now basically, what happened here is that Ellis Watson was the attorney for Ttcf, and even before there was a SPAC. So Ellis Watson has been involved with the company for a very long time, and he has overseen a lot of this company's transition from being a private company to a public company going through this SPAC, and he has been doing a lot of the financial work in the background. Now, one of the big things that kind of went on here is that Sam Galletti gifted a lot of shares to Ellis. Now, we don't personally know, this is the thing, this is all guesswork, we don't know his relationship with him. All we know is that he's been involved with the company for a long time, and he's overseen a lot of the transition at the moment with this company to Ttcf. Now, because of that, I'm pretty sure he will be entitled to some payment. Now, we don't know if that payment was paid in cash, or what can happen as well is this could have happened where Sam Galletti, there was agreement that they paid this in stock. That could have happened. We don't know. This is why, to make big massive concerns over something that we don't know about, as far as I'm aware, the paperwork is filled incorrectly, and that can happen. We don't know what the relationship is here, but when you've got that amount of percentage in a company, to give a little bit to Ellis Watson that might have seen this whole overview, for me, this isn't tax avoidance because they filed this through the SEC. It's not bribery, because at some point I'm sure there's a relationship there, and I'm sure he needs some money for what he's done, whether that was an agreement through shares or through payment. Ellis will go on then to, when he actually acquires the share, when he's gifted the shares, he will then have to go on and pay tax himself. But this isn't tax avoidance. There's nothing wrong with that. So I have no problems with that. The only little thing I kind of have a little problem is that I agree that it was a big amount of shares, that but he still owns a lot. I guess that's the only little thing that I agree massively on, is that it was a big amount of shares, but that is allowed. And also the forms wasn't filled incorrectly was another thing that Rob said. Now, if it is a 10B5-1, these don't actually have to be made public. And as far as I'm aware, Ttcf have never actually made any of their forms actually public for this one. So this is something that doesn't have to happen. So when the claims were that some of the forms hadn't been filled incorrectly, all that has to be filled in correctly is the SEC Form 4s. I believe it is, but this form here actually doesn't have to come on public knowledge. It can do, and if you actually do take that public, it actually gives a bit more insight on what is kind of going on with the company, and investors might be a little bit more accepting of why this insider trading is happening, because there'll be more details. And I do kind of agree with Rob here that maybe it would be good if that was public, but the claim that the forms are being filled in incorrectly is wrong. It doesn't actually have to be public, so there's nothing actually wrong here with that, the form side of it, what Rob was claiming. So that is actually, in my opinion, an error on Rob's video. So overall, what are my kind of thoughts with this current situation? Well, the big thing is I like to go on facts and what I can actually see, and I don't like guesswork, and I like to back my company. And at the moment, I 100% back Sam Galletti. I think he's a great management. What I have here is most of the facts that I can see. Like, the only thing that I cannot prove, because I can't find the actual SEC filing, is that it was around the lockup period time. That's the only thing. But everything else is what I'm seeing, what I gave you there is complete facts, and I don't like doing too much guesswork. There's a lot of situations where you can start making up certain scenarios where you start thinking, oh, if that's happening, maybe this is going on in the background, or maybe this is going on in the background. Like, there's a lot of things you can always take something out of context, and then maybe it sound really bad. Like, it's very easy to make situations look a lot worse than what it is. And yeah, for me, I just like going through what I can see, what I know, and what I invested in, which was this company, Sam Galletti. At the moment, there's nothing worrying me here. There's no red flags that I'm worried about, and I can understand some of Rob's concerns here, but as far as I'm aware at the moment, there's nothing I've seen that is wrong what is going on here. People are allowed to gift shares, people are allowed to sell shares, all the forms are being filled incorrectly. I do agree that maybe, the CFO side of it, maybe you could take that, a little bit and go, it's very strange how quickly it went out of the company. But like I say, I gave my opinions on that one. I guess you could also say that it was a big chunk of shares that was sold. But, the big thing is, like, we're just guessing. We don't know what's going on in the company. And while I kind of don't want to kind of go against Sam Galletti at the moment, I think that I trust him at the moment, and I trust the company, and everything that I've seen I think is very much above board. And it was a very big jump from what was here to then go, this was tax avoidance and also gifting shares. And in my opinion, I think this is a great company. The revenue, what they're doing, the product's great, and everything that I can see I'm totally fine with at the moment. And I also think it's a little bit funny as well, is like the very quick change of how many people were bullish on this company, and then one person changes their opinion or thinks that this situation is currently going on, and everyone kind of goes, oh, I don't know about Ttcf now. Like, it is very funny how very quickly one video can change everyone's opinion. And this is the thing, is like, I'm in charge of my capital, and at the moment I look at this company and I'm very happy with my money in this company and having my capital in here. And you have to make decisions yourself. Like, just because one person makes a video and that video accuses the company of something doesn't mean you automatically believe what that person says. This is a multi-billion-dollar company that has to report to the SEC and follow a lot of strict guidelines here. And it's very easy to just jump from like one person's view to then hear that and then go, oh, I agree with that. I think this is a bad company now. Like, you have to be very open-minded about a lot of situations, and that's why I'm open-minded about Ttcf. And if I ever saw anything that I was very worried about, I would take that on board and consider what I do in my position. But I'm also very open-minded to what someone else said about this company. And in my opinion, I don't think a lot of that was fully correct and was just assumptions of what's currently going on with the information that's here. And I think they were a very quick change from what's there to what was here to just suddenly call this, a bribery, I guess, tax avoidance in my what was said there. So yeah, and I think as well is like, I got big respect from Rob, but I find it really strange that only a few months ago I did a video talk about the popular investor and saying that he actually sold his Beyond Meat position because he thought management were doing a bad job, and I totally disagree. I thought management were doing an amazing job, and then he moved that money into Ttcf, and now he sold out Ttcf because he thought Ttcf, their management's now not even doing a bad job but actually being corrupt, and yeah, it's just very strange from the Beyond Meat to the Tattoo Chef to now moving out. I think that maybe that Rob can be maybe a little bit influenced a bit too easy and maybe worry about the worst case scenario very quickly. And yeah, overall, I think, like, in my opinion, like I say, I think like this is a solid company, and like I said previously on what was said about Beyond Meat, I think that's a solid company. So yeah, anyway, that's my thoughts on Tattoo Chef. I've had enough blabbering on about that one now, but hopefully it was useful anyway. And like I say, I'm still massively holding my shares in Tattoo Chef. I think it's a great company, and I think a lot of the assumptions that were a bit too getting carried away in that video anyway, and I think everything that's going on is legit, and everything's good. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button, and I'll see you next video.